Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph LaBella.
I'm Ron Sen.
I'm Lou Spagnola.
We're going to lead off with the sad story of Robert Kraft. Kraft was caught in flagrante delicto, and now it's all up to the lawyers to make money off of this.
What was that? What was he? Whatever you said, what was he, like at a Taco Bell or something? Come on. What was he?
He obviously went into him for a massage and, innocently enough, got more than he bargained for.
And right there, I want to do Peter Sellers. Hey, massage, you fool! You know, does anybody really know what happened? Are we ever going to know what happened? Can I just say that right away, you had people, just like politics, you had people taking sides, that he didn't do anything wrong, and then there were those that wanted to basically convict him of whatever they could, you know? And I mean, okay, he owns the Patriots. I get that the nation is sick of us, but come on, you know? They want him to sell the team. He should do hard time. I mean, what do you guys think?
How about the women's groups that want him to give up the Patriots?
Ah, please.
Are they ridiculous?
It's getting out of hand. I'm not a fan of this tarring and feathering any longer. It's like somebody does something wrong. They want your job. They want your firstborn. They want to tar and feather you, move you out of the city. I mean, okay, I don't know what he did.
I think he's really upset that they videoed it.
Well,
and I don't know who gave them the right to do that.
You're right, and I think that
to me, looking at it, it's an illegal act.
Yeah, it is.
And they're trying to suppress the video. That's why he's sticking with this. I think the main reason why he's not going to say, you have sufficient facts, you could find me guilty if I go to trial. They're going to dismiss it, does 100 hours community service, pays a $5,000 court cost. That's what they're looking for on all these. And the reason why I think he's not agreeing to that is because of the video. And to me, they're going to declare it illegal eventually.
They're going to have to, though, because, I mean, you know, it's not like audio. What is it, audio? One side only has to consent. I mean, I think video, you can't just put video anywhere you want.
And the thing is, unless it's trafficking, and no one's been charged with trafficking.
Well, that was the thing. I think that
was they made a big deal of it because of Kraft.
The TMZ version of our news that happens more and more frequently just went to town with all of these stories about there were underage girls. It was a trafficking ring. It was then the other side went to no, it was a couple of 50-year-old women who were consensually doing the job.
But just think of this though, you go in for a massage. Okay, you're going in for a massage, all right, and that's it. They're videoing you because someone approved it because they said trafficking's going on in there. But how did they know that he wasn't just going in there for a massage before they put the video in? To me, that's an illegal act right there.
I can understand.
They're filing a motion to suppress.
Well, yeah, and they should, though.
And they'll suppress the video, and then they got other people testifying. But I think after they suppress the video, eventually they want them to do is destroy the video. Because it was an illegal act.
I'm sure that will come with the fact that, you know, I don't think I could get that done. I think Kraft has enough money to get anything done.
But if there was no video, I think he would go for that.
From a legality standpoint, I would understand the parking lot, the foyer, maybe the hallway being recorded. But I wouldn't think that you're allowed to put anything inside the rooms. Because,
I was shocked when I heard that.
I mean,
I wouldn't give it.
Well, that's the thing. And I think that's why I don't think he's going for a... not guilty. I think he's going for innocent. He's going for everything wiped away.
But another thing, too, is that if they did do that, okay, if there was trafficking, if they had probable causes, trafficking going on in there with the woman, if you're allowing that video to be played, you got to make sure that someone who's innocent in there doesn't get videoed. You got a big problem. You got a big lawsuit if that happened. So I don't know how they got that in there, and I think they can end up suppressing it, because there's no trafficking, it's a misdemeanor, and I think that they want him to destroy the video. Do you see what CBS, ABC, and ESPN have done?
Well,
they're opposing the motion.
Yeah.
They're going as a network opposing the motion to suppress the video because they want it because it's going to make them money.
Let's face it, honest broadcasting died a long time ago. You know, the days of Walter Cronkite and believing in your news person, it's over with. Now they're shocking off.
People, you know, it was a dumb thing to do, especially, you know you have grandchildren. You know you have a family. You know you're in charge of the Patriots. It was a dumb thing to do what he did. Well, but that's it. It was a dumb thing.
Without saying, anybody that's in the public eye, you have to watch what you do. It's like Public Eye 101. When a person becomes a millionaire, when they sign their first contract, don't they tell these kids, listen, everybody's going to want to be your friend. Everybody's going to want to take you down. I mean,
me as a fan, I'm shocked that he did do that. But I'm not upset that it's like a big crime.
You know what? I'll tell you what I honestly think, and it's funny that the whole college scandal with, entrance fees and cheating and all that, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I think that this is just, people do this stuff. And I'm not condoning what Kraft did. I'm not saying that I think it's anything. I really don't have much of an opinion on it. But I can say this. People are surprised that, okay, Robert Kraft. Well, I mean, he owns Foxborough Stadium. He could do anything he wants. He owns how many untold properties? He could have done anything he wanted wherever he wants to do it. Why did he have to go and do it there? I think it's not even entitlement. I think it's just you want to be normal once in a while and just go do something,
Well, just because you're a billionaire doesn't mean you're going to make good decisions consistently.
No.
So, the baseball season has started. Well, if the Red Sox hasn't quite started yet.
Well, the baseball start yet, Lou?
I think the Red Sox are still in spring training mode.
And the Red Sox elected to slow play the pitching staff, give them very few innings down in Florida, and now they're paying the price as the pitchers are not ready. They don't have command, and it's like batting practice right now. Not that they're not throwing hard enough, but they're throwing the ball, as Gary Peters, ex-Red Sox pitcher, said, they're wild in the strike zone. Yeah,
well, you see what Sale looked like the other night. I mean, he looked more like Bill Lee than he did Sale. I mean, he put a couple of meatballs over there. Everybody was taking batting practice off him the other night.
And yet the Red Sox have come forth with some big contracts. Obviously, Sale, if you think about hometown discount, he's getting $29 million a year, not so bad. And Xander Bogaerts, represented by Scott Boras, didn't go to free agency, which is very unusual for Boras.
Very unusual for any Boras contract not to play.
That was a good contract, though. Wow.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was a great contract.
I agree. I think the Red Sox, it's hard to look at them and say anything other than it's the first week of the season. I don't know. I got to be honest, after winning the World Series, and, okay, so spring training, it's all about you're still feeling good. And then you go and play a game in Seattle where it's, what's the temperature right now? And you just got to be mentally unsharp,
What have we always said, though? We always say it's like 10 different seasons, baseball.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have 157 games to go. They go 157 for a record the rest of the season. You have 101 wins. They have a chance to do that. I might predict a 97 for them this year, but I mean, they're too good.
Well, you know how it is, though. It always depends on the division. I mean, what's Baltimore going to do? What's Toronto going to do? The Yankees, I mean, you can kind of go into the season saying, what are they going to go, 9-9 against them? You can't see the team blowing the other one out. They just know each other too well.
The thing that bothers me with the difference between the Red Sox and the Yankees, Martinez with the Red Sox, Stanton with the Yankees. Red Sox have a huge advantage over the Yankees. Just looking at those two guys.
Yeah.
Former Red Sox, mostly career minor leaguer, Lars Anderson, wrote a great article in The Athletic. He talks about the first week of the season for minor leaguers. So he says you're in either Florida or Arizona, and then you go to your first assignment. So he says, how do you get there? So he's there, you're not getting flown first class. Most of the people have to ship their cars, and you stay for 3 days in a hotel, $75 a night. Meanwhile, you're looking for an apartment to live. The Red Sox, he said, mostly in Portland, they have host families that the player goes to stay with. He says, which is good. It really cuts down your expenses, and we'll talk a little bit about minor league salaries. But he said, you have to deal with the dad saying, maybe you should move up in the box or whatever.
Well, everybody's an expert,
well, four players in a hotel room.
Right. So
that's tough.
They said that the minimum salary for rookie league and low A is $1,100 a month, which that's not getting you far. I mean, apartment and some fast food.
But is it any surprise, though? I mean, all the money is up the top. It's the total iceberg thing. All the money is at the 1%, and then everything else is just down the bottom. Down the bottom feeders. I mean, none of these guys. I don't know how a guy like Rick Lancelotti, what was he in? 38 years, I think he lasted in. I don't understand how they do it, because they don't make any money whatsoever, because all the money's at the parent club.
Right. I think they said the average salary in AAA is $10,000 a month, but that's probably because Rusney Castillo is getting $10 million to not play.
I was about to say, there
But
are
they
a couple
make
of players.
AAA makes some pretty good money.
Well,
Especially the Red Sox AAA.
yeah,
team.
but you know why, though? A lot of the AAA, it averages out because some of the guys are just, the contracts they signed, they're going to be in the pros. You know, they're eventually going to make it there, so they're a little bit better. But single and AA, I mean, you're living, talk about impoverished. And they're basically eating a step above dog food. I mean, that's why when you know, I remembered seeing something about when, what was his face, from the Braves was on the Red Sox for 1 year, the pitcher. I can't believe I can't remember his name, but he was doing a rehab assignment, and the guys were like, thanks for the steak. Because, you know, the pro players down in the minors, you know, you get to eat. And I don't know.
Well, what's worrying me is that it's been, whatever, 18 months since Dustin Pedroia, and he needs to be in Florida until the weather's warm or something. I mean,
They probably don't want to take a chance. The season's so long run.
no, I know that, but I'm not sure that, you know, I'll be shocked if he plays 60 games this year.
I think he's going to have one. It's going to be one on the graph, one little bump. He's going to start playing well, and then he's just going to suddenly be, fluid's got to be drained from the knee, you know, and it's just going to. I think he's done. I always appreciated his efforts, but he's just got nothing left, I don't think.
Well, and that's the wisdom of signing the long-term contract. So he got family security. People are never going to say that he didn't play hard. He gave what he had. And sometimes your body just gives out and you have nothing left to give.
Yeah, well, you know, we could do a show. We could do a 2-hour show on the differences between the baseball guaranteed contract versus the football. It means nothing whatsoever. You know, the contract's as worthless as the paper it's printed on.
But some of those football players early on are making more money than the baseball players.
Yeah, but it depends, though. If you sign a big signing bonus and you get it up front, you know, which depending how it's structured, you know.
But some of these real good baseball players are making under $1 million.
Well,
You know, and because of the way the system is.
But that's the same
then
thing.
Once you get there, then you're making the money.
You know, when you sign a guy like Philly, you know, for a telephone number, or look at what Trout just signed for. I mean, can you even believe that? Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that people were going to be making $1/3 of $1 billion for a baseball
my
contract?
son always says, if you're Harper, just say I'll sign a 1-year deal with the highest bidder, period. And then do that every year. So you say, I'm just a total mercenary, whatever.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't done that yet. I'm really surprised that a young guy, I don't know if he's married or not, but just, you know, you could literally go out and control the market.
Well, you've seen it with bets in a way. Arbitration, $20 million.
Yeah, and
You've seen that for 1 year.
That was the right move for him, though, I think. Now, of course, if he goes out, gets hurt, the hurt lays an egg this year, then it wasn't the right move for him.
I think they're going to let him go. That's why they're giving this top money to.
Bets?
How do you give Seal $30 million a year, just under $30 million a year for 5 years?
Don't forget, though, the Red Sox are in a good position in terms of money making. I mean, they're overpriced. Those seats at Fenway are ridiculously overpriced. The concessions are overpriced. I mean, the Red Sox ownership, I mean, they own everything right in there. So it's, you know, they're just making money. They're like...
yeah, they'll have new food this year. You'll be able to get caviar and foie gras, you know, and... but there are issues. I'm not so worried about the starting pitchers. I think after a couple of starts, they'll come around.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about the infield defense because Devers looks shaky, and when Nunez is at second, he's shaky. Yeah,
they were kind of like, I mean, if you remember the World Series, I mean, they were, you know, Devers would, you know, Devers wasn't bad. I mean, Nunez was either fantastic with the glove. He'd make some ridiculous play like falling into the bleachers, but neither one of them, to me, is a plus player in the infield. I mean, I don't know if Pedroia coming back is going to be the answer. He always did well. He always threw himself everywhere to stop the ball, but he can't play like that and expect to...
I think the big question mark's the bullpen, though, for them.
You know what? If you think about it, did they actually address it? I mean, let's think about it. They went into the World Series. They pulled off one of the great disappearing acts. They used starters, and everybody predicted that that was going to be their undoing. And because of the guys they had, I mean, who's to say you don't see Price in the bullpen halfway through the year?
Well, you're probably going to see the kid Hernandez by June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really looked good in spring training. He's lefty, throws up to 97.
Absolutely.
He's got good breaking stuff.
I'm surprised he's not here now, unless they're just waiting. They want to work a few things out, see a few things, and
Well, they don't want to get his major league service.
that. Well, it's always about the money. We know that. Service time, absolutely.
Well, and some of these players, you know, you have a kid like Chris Bryant on the Cubs. You know, when it's time for him to sign, he may say, "Look, you did everything you could to make my life miserable when I was a young player. I'm going to the market." So,
Well, that's true.
You know, Betts could do that too.
yeah,
I think he's
no.
going to, Betts.
Who's his agent? Who does Betts have? He doesn't have Boris or
No, it's not Boris.
who's
but
the other jerk?
But he doesn't need one. He doesn't need one
No,
because
no,
he's
you-
smart.
Well,
He's
I mean,
sharp. He knows what he wants.
I hate to say it, but when you look at baseball, look at the contracts. All he has to do is look at his numbers. If he has another season like last year, let's just say for the sake of argument, he mirrors last year's numbers, then he's right up there with Trout.
When's he a free agent? In 2 years?
I thought it was after this year, right?
2 years.
Oh, so this wasn't the
Bradley
second year.
is a free agent at the end of the year. Bogarts would have been a free agent. Sales free agent, or would have been a
So
free
he's
agent.
going to want what Trout's getting.
You know what, though? If he has another monster year like he did last year, I mean, the Red Sox would have to look at a couple of things. Either trade him for a, Herschel Walker type deal, or you're going to have to say, well, the price is only going to go up if we wait another year. What is, if you think about the value of the contract, if they don't sign him for a Trout deal this year, it's going to be a bigger Trout deal next
Well, we
year.
were talking
Right.
10 million, for 10 years, 350 million. You know, would he
Yep.
take that now for starting next year?
He would have to, though, there is also the gambling part of it, because let's face it, what happened to Pedroia,
But just think of this. You give him 35 million, okay? Your top three players are making $97 million.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's,
And then with Bogarts, that's 117
But
million.
if you
Your
have-
top four players.
If you have a young guy
Oh, then Martinez.
who, in
That's a
large
lot.
part, depends on his legs, then, especially when they get into their middle 30s or even sometimes their early 30s, see Jacoby Ellsbury, it can go really fast.
I was going to bring Ellsbury up. I think, though, that
He was a baby, though.
Ellsbury was more smoke and mirrors. I think Betts is the real thing. I think, Ellsbury had a good year, a not so good year, a really good year, and then the Yankees took him off our hands. And
He might have been fooling around with steroids until he got that big contract.
you never
and then
know.
went
That's
off it.
that's the other thing. You never know.
He's
what,
that type
you know,
of guy. He was a big baby. It ended up. Time he
Well,
got
look at him
injured,
now. I mean, the Yankees.
said he wants to come back.
Do the Yankees really want him back? That's the thing. If you're in that clubhouse, do you think those guys are saying, "Can't wait for Jacoby to get back"?
But he got, what did he get, 140 million? Something like
He
that?
got 153 for 7 years. But whatever.
153?
That was a lot of
Why
money.
he didn't have to take the steroids after you got the contract?
He's going to end up playing for the Padres or something for the rest of his career. He's probably got 2 years left.
Well, I have a patient who works for the Red Sox, and he said when Beckett got to 85-5, he basically said, "I got paid. That's all that matters. Performance doesn't matter. I got paid," and that's sad.
Hate to hear that.
But what are the Red Sox going to do with these salaries?
Well,
They
Are
have
they
the
thinking
money.
prices going after 2 more years?
but this is the thing, though. There'll be some guys that they'll figure out itself, but they make the money. They'll just raise concessions. They'll pay the luxury tax. I mean, think about what that luxury tax is going to be for those players. When you think about it, we didn't even talk about Martinez.
Well, Pierce will be gone. Moreland will be gone. The catchers are low money right now.
Yeah, but like he said, we're going to be looking at five players
140 million.
are going to be more than probably the bottom 2 teams combined, their payrolls.
The Panda's coming off the payroll next year.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's a little bit of relief.
They're saying Betts is going to be making more money than the whole Marlin team.
That's probably going to be the case. It really is.
Yeah,
crazy.
Since when Derek Jeter went to the Marlins. What has he done for the Marlins so far?
He's building up a young team. He's got some talent. He got rid of Stanton, which was a great move by him. People were upset at him. Best move he made was getting rid of Stanton.
But something, we never know what goes on behind closed doors. I mean, everybody, these guys, they look like Harmon Killebrew in their prime, but you never know what kind of player they really are behind closed doors and what the team thinks of them. Because you always have those guys that the team would say, there's nobody I would rather have up in this situation than this person. And you might look and say, huh?
Right. You never got the feeling that I mean, A-Rod did win a title with the Yankees, but he was never beloved in New York.
Oh, that contract was terrible. That
Yeah, it was
one
a
year.
terrible deal.
You know,
No, he wasn't.
Stanton deal is going to be just as bad.
I mean, I don't think that people in California are celebrating Albert Pujols for another 50 years.
Well.
So, anyway, we'll be right back. Welcome back to our All Things Basketball segment. We have Bill Donovan as a guest today, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about in basketball. First, a lot of writers were selling Duke as Cinderella in the NCAA tournament. I'm not buying that. The wicked stepmother, maybe.
Yeah, you knew after the Central Florida game they were going to get knocked off. They should have lost that game. That was a shame. Dawkins missed that little tip in, and he played a great game.
Well, that was the second game they kind of squeaked by.
Yeah.
Duke's issue for not just this year, the past few years, is they have no depth at all. They're 6 or 7 deep. If they get into any foul trouble, or they need to rest a few guys, they can't, because they only go 6 or 7 deep, and it finally caught up with them.
Well, the remarkable thing in the game was Duke had a higher shooting percentage. They had more threes. They had more free throws, 8-2. They out-rebounded by Michigan State by a dozen. They led in every single statistic except turnovers. They had 17 turnovers, and Michigan State only had 7. So it's so important to take care of the basketball.
Oh, no doubt. At any level, whether you're talking girls, boys, 10, 12-year-old league, high school, JV, any level of basketball, you give away shit. When I coached, I'd always preach to the girls, every time we have the ball, we want a shot. We want a shot every time we have the ball.
Purdue and Kentucky both lost in overtime. Duke lost by 1. And collectively on free throws in those games, the teams were 27 for 44. So they shot 61% from the line. So if they shot even a respectable percentage, they all would have won.
It comes down to, teams like Kentucky and Duke, talented teams, especially Duke, comes to mental toughness. Michigan State's players are a lot tougher than the Duke players. You have Williamson, who's tough going to the basket, but I'm talking about mental toughness, making the right decisions, being in the right spot. And you can just see a difference between Michigan State, well-coached team, Duke. Defensively, I was impressed, but offensively, they felt the pressure, and that's why they lost.
Well, everybody knew that their perimeter shooting was kind of their weakness. And if you look at a chart over the last 10 years, now the three-point shots are about 40% of all shots taken in the tournament. So pretty much it's hard to be consistent, especially when you have all these younger players.
And that is leading towards the NBA. I mean, you watch an NBA game now. I went to the Portland game a few weeks ago. It's all isolations. It's all picks at the top of the screen. And it's three-pointers. That's all. I think the three-point line to me, is done. I don't know how you guys feel. It's done damage to the NBA game. It really has. You don't see as many pick and rolls. You don't see screening away from the basket, screen and roll to the basket. You just don't see that anymore.
Well, you see it. You don't see the Celtics doing it, but you see teams doing it to the Celtics. I've been talking a while about this. Celtics are the worst team I've ever seen in the history of basketball, defending the pick and roll and the pick and pop. Stevens doesn't know how to coach it. They don't know what they're doing. In a team, you watch a team, there are teams that come in like Washington came in, very rarely ran a pick and roll. You scout the Celtics, that's all you have to do. I can't believe it. They hedge, they never blitz the pick, number one, to trap someone like Walker. Didn't blitz him once to give up the ball. You see Kyrie at times in big situations, team will blitz him, he has to give up the ball. Sometimes he throws it away.
Well, it's interesting that people talk about how great the players are now and how the systems are improved, even down to high school. And I was looking back at some old statistics, and I played high school basketball 46 years ago. So this is ancient history. No three-point shots, no shot clock. There's very little AAU, that sort of thing. And the top two teams scoring-wise, Lexington and Stoneham, both averaged 70 points a game, and we averaged 66. You hardly ever see that now.
No.
And I can't believe it's because the defense is all that great.
No, it's not. And if you want to stick to the Celts, you can see the last couple of months, their defensive intensity is just gone. There's no perimeter defense other than Marcus Smart. The interior defense, when Forford's out of the game, and Baines can't jump a lick, he defends hard, but their defensive pressure, you look at the points scored against the Celtics the last couple of months, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. And you look at this team, it's probably the most selfish team I've seen in the last few years, and the team that just seems to, sometimes I hate to use the term give up, but they just seem to be lackluster. And once the first part of the game to go, when you kind of, again, I don't want to say give up, but your defensive intensity is one of the first parts of the game to go when you've kind of had enough of whatever's going on behind closed doors, because it doesn't seem like a very cohesive, happy team.
They're embarrassing. I mean, I've been watching the Celtics since Bill Russell. You know, I've never been more disappointed in the Celtic team than this year's team. They've been a disgrace. People are giving up their season tickets. They still have a lot of people that want to go. But people that know the game, really know the game, not the fans that just want to go there.
Sure.
They're talking half the game. But people who love basketball, they are an absolute disgrace, the Celtics. You watch Michigan State play Duke the other day. You watch Auburn. You watch all these teams in the NCAAs. You watch how hard they play defense. No one ever beats them. No one gets to the basket. They're switching. They're banging. It's unbelievable. Michigan State was just banging with Duke.
Yeah.
And then you go watch the Celtics, and you say, this is unbelievable. You know it's got to go. They have to make that deal. Kyrie has to go, all right? And then hopefully get a guard like Winston. And if you can get a guy like him, they're going to have 3 first-round draft picks. Maybe they can get a guard like him. Either Kyrie goes or Kyrie stays. You trade Tatum and Brown and Smart for Davis, and you go in that direction. That's the direction I would go. I'd get rid of both Tatum and Brown because I am totally disgusted with Tatum's game. Tatum has been awful this year, not even pretty good. He's been a disgrace. He doesn't play any defense. He's the softest player I've ever seen. He dribbles the ball with his head down. He never looks up to pass the ball. And when you got Rozier doing the same thing, and you got Morris doing the same thing, they're wondering why Hayward can't get his game going. He can't get into the system. They're not giving. He's standing in the corner watching them half the game.
I think part of Hayward's problem too, as well, is, you know, granted his ankle probably wasn't completely ready to go at the beginning of the season. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I also think Hayward's issue was he needs to be more aggressive. He's way too passive. It's almost like that's his personality.
But have you watched him the last 3 games?
I have. I think overall, it's probably 20 games till now, he needs to assert himself a little bit more. It's almost like he seems to be afraid to get Tatum upset or Jaylen Brown upset if he shoots the ball and he plays his game. It's almost like he's taking a back seat to the guys who played last year and he didn't. That's what it seems to me like.
I think they always say you can't have too much talent, but in the NBA, you can't have too much talent because there's so much ego involved and everybody has to get their shots and their touches, and there's only one ball, no matter how many stars you have.
And you look at all the great teams in the past, the 86 Celts, even the Celts of the 60s, the Bulls of the early 90s, everybody had their defined, take the 86 Celts. Parrish knew he was only going to get 10, 11 shots a game. He was going to grab rebounds. Everybody had their defined role. And the most important thing about it is they accepted it for the good of the team to win the championship. In hindsight, you know, it might sound crazy, but them making it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year without Kyrie and Hayward might have been the worst thing to happen to this team.
I mean, the 86 Celtics had 2 elite inside passers with Bird and Walton. And of course, and Johnson would certainly pass a lot too. Ainge wasn't.
But they were all role players. You know, a lot of them were role players. They let Bird do his thing. They let McHale do his thing. But here with the Celtics, they've got a ton of problems. They got to get rid of Morris. Has got to go.
Yeah,
he doesn't cover the floor properly. All he wants to do is shoot. Never makes a great pass. You know, Rozier's dribble, shoot. If he doesn't have either one, then he'll pass the ball. But he never looked to penetrate and dish. You very rarely see him that. But I disagree, though, with a lot of people about Hayward. Hayward is locked out half the time. They run this offense where they balance the floor, and Hayward's on the left.
Yeah, he's on the weak
corner.
side, yeah.
And he's got to stand there while they run their pick and roll. He's not to even cut unless that breaks down. And then he cuts up top, and he might get the ball. There are times where he comes through the pick low and comes out and gets the ball. But then there are times when Kyrie's in the game, he does not want to play with Kyrie. Kyrie takes him completely out of his game. So I don't know what Ainge is going to do.
The problem is you take on the personality of your leader, which is Kyrie. And he almost seems like he's bipolar. You heard Tyree Rozier a few weeks ago. Well, it basically, you know, this isn't verbatim what he said, but he goes, we basically, you know, if Kyrie's in a good mood, the locker room's in a good mood. We kind of don't know what we're going to get when he shows up each day. You can't have a team like that, but you just cannot run a team like that.
I think they're going to be at their best if Kyrie goes and they don't trade for Davis. If they get a guy like Winston, a guy to hit the open shot but get everybody involved, you know, but you can't go with Rozier if Kyrie goes, sign Rozier, because Rozier cannot run that offense.
No.
And Smart just completely disrupts the offense. When he's in there, he just disrupts it. He can't work with them. And then they lay off him for the three-point shot. Once in a while they'll drive, make a pretty good pass. But
well, I think Smart has a higher three-point percentage than Tatum this year.
Imagine.
So, I mean, he's been more selective with the shots, and he's hit more. So,
see, back when they were really good, and you watch some of these really good teams in the NBA, you get a feel for what they're going to do each night. Kind of get a feel. With the Celtics, and I agree with you, I don't enjoy, I want them to win, but I don't enjoy watching them play, and you really have no idea which team is going to show up. Is it who's going to take all the shots? It's almost like each guy wants the ball, and they're going to go to the basket with it. They don't want their other teammates to get a few, even if you have if you're covered, and somebody, get them the ball. You get double covered, that's what you want. That means somebody's open. Swing the ball and get it to them.
If you see Milwaukee or Toronto and they're ahead by 20 in the second half, the game's over. The Celtics, no lead is safe these days.
But you look at it two ways. If they let Morris is gone, they're not going to sign Morris.
Gone.
He's got to go. You know, and if the Morris goes and Kyrie and Rozier both go, it's going to be tough. If they can get a point guard that can work with the rest of that team, then you'll see better chemistry. They'll move the ball better. They'll get, you know, Tatum, Hayward, and Brown, I think, will work better with a real good guard.
Yeah.
But when Kyrie's in there, you know that they say, hey, we're not going to get the ball, number one. And then when Morris gets the ball, no one cuts because they know they're not going to get the ball.
Have you heard the rumor of who they're looking at with the Sacramento pick?
Who?
Boy Bull, Manute Bull's kid.
Oh, what tall is he?
7'2".
Celtics?
Yeah.
Why do they want him?
He's another guy who can shoot threes, but he's enormous.
I'm surprised Stevens has left Morris in the starting line. He hasn't shot the ball well in 2-3 months.
He isn't starting anymore. Baines is.
Yeah, you almost wonder whether he might have an injury or something.
They got Baines and Horford starting now up front. But another
Against
thing
certain
too,
teams, you really can't do that, though.
But another thing, too, is Stevens has been terrible this year.
It's almost
You
like
can't coach any worse than he's coached. No one's listening to him. My prediction is he gives it up and he goes back to college.
He might. I said that to a friend of mine the other day.
He can't coach these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, God, look at the way he never blitzes a pick.
No.
I mean, you want to take Walker out of the game? Blitz him every time they set a pick for him. He's got to give the ball up. You know, he never does it.
They just seem to be a total mess.
And they don't know how to defend the pick and roll.
At all. And defensively, they haven't played defense in 2 months. Last year, they were a really good defensive team. This year, they haven't played any.
So who's your pick in the Final Four?
Well, my pick, I told you that I picked Texas Tech to go deep. You know, I'm not in a pool, but my surprise team was going to be Texas Tech. Texas Tech, they playing
Michigan State.
I think Michigan State's going to beat them. Michigan State, they're tough, Texas Tech. They're very good defensively. Michigan State's well coached. That Winston's really good. They're good down low.
Yep.
You know, so they're going to get a lot of good opportunities. I think they'll win by 7 points in that game.
Yeah, Izzo's had
and
success.
I think they'll face Arizona. I mean, not Arizona, but Virginia.
Yeah. Izzo's been really successful over a long period of time. I really like the stuff he runs. For example, for rebounding, they're usually in the top 5 rebounding teams in the country. They put shoulder pads and helmets on to practice rebounding. So
they're tough.
So, yeah, they really get after it. And Tony Bennett at Virginia took a lot of heat, and I didn't think they'd get to the Final Four because I think that they play at such a slow pace.
The offense always breaks down.
Right. If they get behind, it's really hard.
Remember the first game of the tournament, too? They were down 10, 12 points in the first half.
Auburn could beat them, though.
No, I know.
It could be Auburn
and they lost their best player.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I mean, in my brackets, I'd pick Tennessee, so I don't have anything to boast about.
It's been a really good tournament, though.
Well, what about the better tournament? The UConn girls.
Oh,
well,
are you kidding me?
They're playing the disrespect card. So they get
What a game they played against Louisville. You watched the game?
No, I didn't see
You
the
didn't
game.
watch the game?
Believe it or not, no.
You knew we were doing this show and you didn't.
Well, Samuelson didn't have a big game at all
Against who?
through the tournament.
Her back. She didn't play up until the tournament.
I know that.
She was out the last 4 games.
But she have 29 the other day or
29.
something? Yeah.
7 3-pointers.
Now, did UConn draw Notre Dame in the Final Four? Oh,
That's going to be a battle.
That's going to be.
after
They've had some
last
great
year.
battles the last
And
few
the coaches
years.
can't stand each
I
other.
know, which makes it even better.
What's her name? McGraw? She
Yeah.
said that shouldn't be.
Muffy McGraw or
There's too
something?
many
Is that her
men
name?
coaching
Muffin
women's
McGraw?
basketball. There should be more women.
I'm reading Pat Summitt's book right now, Reach for the Summit. And I knew she was tough, but, like, you've all heard of Dean Smith's 4 corners offense. So she said, this is my 4 corners. She heard that the players were staying out till 4 o'clock in the morning drinking one day. So she called an early practice. She put a trash can at every corner of the basket and made them run. And she said, pretty much everyone used those trash cans. She said sometimes they were headbutting each other over the trash cans.
That's funny.
So
What do you think about the garbage that Izzo took for yelling at his player on the court? I'm like,
Yeah, but Izzo, he's got some of these coaches have way too much pressure on them. Now he hadn't been to the final, to the Elite Eight.
yeah,
To the Sweet 16 in like 4 years.
yeah.
So he's feeling the pressure. He gets all over his player, which he was wrong. He got in the play. He went at the player. He was really wrong. He went overboard. I mean, as bad as I've ever gotten, I didn't come close to that.
No, Ralph is an emotional coach, but you're right. I've never seen you go after a player like that.
I would never do that.
Well, and I'm kind of a believer in the Anson Dorrance philosophy. He's the University of North Carolina soccer coach. He's won 22 national titles. He said, you just can't, especially with women and girls, you need a gentler approach.
But did you see him, Izzo, in the Duke game? He was out on the floor. I can't believe the refs. They're in the front court, Duke, and he's out 3 steps on the floor. And they're running around him.
Surprised they didn't tee him up
Did you
for
see
being out of
that?
the box. Yeah.
I'm watching my son. My son, he says, I can't believe this. They're not even calling a technical on him. He's out on the floor. One of the Duke players had a watch. He almost ran into him.
Well, the big prize, of course, is the UCLA job. And the question is, obviously UCLA their fans are still living in the John Wooden era. They think that that's going to happen again, which it's not.
No.
So, I don't know if Stevens would. Now, the problem, if you're a coach like Stevens, you say go back to college, is the recruiting thing. And a lot of times players don't want to, coaches don't want to do that.
Well, he's still young enough that a lot of times the older guys don't want to do it. Indiana might open up, right? Isn't the Indiana job possibly opening
Right.
up? Who says he might
should go
not
back.
skate right into there?
This has been a disaster.
I think
for him.
Kyrie is just, boy, when he said at the beginning of the season to the season ticket holders, if you have me back, I'll sign this. But there's no way that...
They don't want to play with him.
They don't. There's no way Danny Ainge knew the extent of this guy's personality.
You ask
at all.
Hayward, he would say, if Ainge went up to Hayward, do you want to play with him or not? Hayward would say, don't sign him. Just get a good point guard who understands the game with the talent we have here. And maybe Brown would come along better and Tatum. But there's something going on with Tatum because he's been awful. If they or they can go the other way, trade Brown and Tatum if they want to keep Kyrie. They got to get rid of those two if they can get Davis. And then you'll have Horford, Davis, you'll have Hayward.
And 3 first-round picks.
Well, it'd be great to be a fly on the wall and hear what the players really have to say behind closed doors. So, we'll see. Indiana, obviously with Oladipo out, they're not as strong as they were, but they play hard every day.
Hard. That's the key.
And they're really good with the pick and roll with Sabonis. Sabonis is, he's tough.
He's been out though,
Yes.
huh, Sabonis?
Well, he played the other night.
Yeah, he was.
He played the other night.
He didn't play much though.
I don't know. He's
He
pretty
played.
good.
It was a back-to-back. I know he played both nights. I'm not sure how many minutes, but he's a really good player.
Yeah,
Oh, he's real
Sabonis.
good.
Yeah.
He is great on the pick and roll.
Yeah, he's excellent in pick
His
and
father
roll.
was pretty good too.
Well, his father unfortunately ended up with injuries.
Yeah, he came over late.
Yeah, the father could have been really one of the top 2 or 3 centers of all time if he were healthy. But of course, a lot of guys aren't healthy.
No.
It's going to be interesting in the playoffs, though, if they can rise to the occasion, the Celtics, when the playoffs are there.
Well, right. If they get by the first round, then they'd be playing Milwaukee, and Toronto is the team that they
Brogdon
struggle
still
with.
out from Milwaukee?
Oh, I don't know. Brogdon
Yeah,
Brogdon's out,
he's tough against the Celtics.
Yeah. See, I can see them
can
beating
shoot.
Milwaukee. I just can't see them going into Toronto and winning there. They just can't seem to win in Toronto.
Well, Toronto's got to play Philly if both of them win. So that'll be a good series.
Yeah, so all those series will be, the second round series should be pretty good. And we don't even know who's going to get in the playoffs because Detroit is still in it. Brooklyn, of all teams, another team that plays hard, even though they don't, who can even name players on
Russell's
Brooklyn?
The
another
other thing
player
I
they
didn't
don't
get
trap.
that they did was that they beat Indiana to take the 4 spot, right? And then they sit Horford and Kyrie the next night. It's almost like you gave that. Now, granted, Indiana lost the same night, but you didn't know that going in. You finally get the 4 spot for home court in the first round. Why are you sitting those two guys?
Well, I think they're more concerned about the players' rest than they are about home or
Evidently.
away against Indiana. So,
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I guess at this point, I'd like to see Virginia win. Actually, the team that we played this year, who was the toughest on us defensively, I think, was Pentucket, who plays that pack line kind of defense down into the middle school. And Virginia did deviate some from that going out to chase shooters. But anyway, good basketball talk. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, we're not going to have Gronk to kick around anymore. I'm happy for him. He took a lot of surgery, a lot of hits. He never spent a nickel of his NFL salary, and he lived off his endorsements. He'll probably be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger in film, stage, screen. I'm happy for him. Way to go, Gronk.
Yeah, he'll be doing those movies with Sylvester Stallone and those guys. And the thing about Gronk, though, it's kind of, to me, I mean, you had Brady, the face of the team, but he was right there with Brady. I mean, I think he was the intimidator. Teams going up against the Patriots, defenses, they were always intimidated by Gronk.
Well, it was interesting because, of course, when you're retired, they show you highlight clips from his younger days, and he was really fast. I mean, he was deceptively fast because he was so big. Now, he was just lumbering through this season.
But not in the playoffs, though.
I mean,
the playoffs, he was really
he's still
good.
not the same guy.
But he was the best tight end blocker.
Yeah, no, he had a fantastic career, first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not really into this greatest tight end ever. How do you compare? Tony Gonzalez was great. For those old timers out there, John Mackey with the Baltimore Colts was phenomenal. Dave Casper was great. Bavaro was great for the Giants. A lot of great players. So congratulations to Gronk. He's got probably $50 million in the bank. He's got the model girlfriend. I think he's going to land on his feet.
He'll be back, though. You know he's coming back.
Well, we'll see.
You know he's definitely coming back. If it's not later this year, it's next year.
Meanwhile, Michael Bennett was not happy with his contract when he came here. Traded from the Eagles, so the Patriots renegotiated him. They gave him a bigger signing bonus, reduced the salary cap, and his 2-year contract is supposed to be a little bit over $16 million, so he'll be happy. It's been a tumultuous offseason for the Patriots. Gronk retires. They lose their best defensive lineman. You can argue about their best offensive lineman with Trent Brown. We'll see. If he's away from Scarnecchia and away from discipline, is he going to eat his way out of the lineup? We'll see. We'll see on that. They've lost 2 defensive coordinators, Flores and Schiano. The whole Schiano story seems kind of crazy.
Oh, he has. That Penn State thing is going to be coming out even more deeper than it has been.
Okay.
I think that's the reason.
Anyway, so that. But the Patriots are still favored to win the AFC, even with all these, and they have, what do they have, 12 draft picks?
You have Belichick there, but I hear rumors that will he give the defense? Well, he won't make him a defensive coordinator, but
Gerard Mayo?
No, his son.
Oh gosh.
He can't do that.
No,
I don't know how to play, if the players respect his son.
Steve Belichick? Oh gosh.
But that's a rumor. It won't be Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo's an idiot.
Well,
he really is. I mean, maybe he'll be a good linebackers coach, but you can't make him defensive coordinator.
Well, it's too bad this happened because I think the players wanted to have Brendan Daly, the defensive line coach, who ultimately went to Kansas City, I think, because his family's from out there, or his wife's family's from out there. So he would have probably stayed if he could have been the coordinator. So
I'd like to see him get Brewski. I mean, not for the defensive coordinator, but get him on the staff. But he just got a big raise with ESPN. He's going to be in studio now during the games, you know, when they have the
right.
So I don't think he would leave there. But it'd be good if he was there with Mayo. But Mayo, I don't think he can call the plays, even though he did, you know, when he was a linebacker.
Well,
when you listen to him, the way he explains the plays, you know, the game, I just don't think he'd be good.
Well, there's a little bit of news coming out of the NFL meetings. Obviously, they made the kickoff rule permanent. They have now made pass interference or lack of pass interference reviewable, which I think is going to be laughable. I mean, you still aren't going to have any extra challenges, but the standard defensive back approach now is the guy's going down the sidelines and they hook his inside hand, so he has to catch the ball with the outside hand with one arm. It's pass interference every single time.
So what is the change, actually?
So you can, if they don't call pass interference, you can appeal that it is pass interference, or if they do call pass interference, you can appeal that it's not pass interference.
How many of them do you get a game?
You don't get any extra challenges. So you still have to use your challenges judiciously. So if you have a 1st and 10 call in the first quarter, now you're going to save it for one of these.
So that's part of it, the challenge situation.
It's just another type of action.
You can challenge that.
You can challenge offensive pass interference.
I thought they could go up to the booth. That's not the change?
No. So
and they call down and say that was pass interference. They didn't.
Well, that's in the last 2 minutes.
In the last 2 minutes, you can do it.
But during the regular flow of the game, you still have the challenge system. And what else? Apparently the NFL said that 50% of the top 50 calls that they found missed during the season, half of them were on pass interference. So that was what finally convinced. Oh, yeah, I mean,
that's got to be even higher, but they probably don't even take that into consideration.
Right. It's hard. I mean, I would think there's probably some degree of holding on every single play.
How is it legal to get inside the shoulder pads and hold?
Right.
And that's not holding, but you can grab the guy as long as you're inside.
Right. Well, you always see the offensive linemen wear the same color gloves as the other team's shirt, so that it's harder to be able to see. But we'll see. And the Patriots still have other things going. They haven't signed Gostkowski yet. So now they have $18 million in change in salary cap.
They save that much now because of Gronk?
Yeah, because of Gronk. So they have some money to play with. There was an article in Boston Sports Journal today raising the question of whether they should go after Sue from the Rams. No, I mean, they're not going to pay that much for one guy.
Well, if Guy can play, the way he played in the playoffs.
Right.
You know, you get the guy, you know, and they have Butler. They have that young guy with I forget his name. He played really good in the playoffs. He didn't play most of the year. And they have
not Wise.
No, Wise is going to be good. That's the guy. I like Wise. I think he's going to take over for Flowers. Wise had a very good playoff.
Yeah, Rivers wasn't good this year. He's probably on the bubble for just making the team.
But then they have 12 draft picks.
Right.
And they have Dawson coming back, who didn't play.
And Wynn.
And they have Wynn, who didn't play. So there's a 1st and a 2nd round pick. And they have that linebacker, you know, who was really good and got hurt.
Right.
The young guy, the one who was a free agent last year.
Right, the kid from Purdue. So, you know, I don't think anybody's feeling sorry for the Patriots at this point. Now, another part of the Kraft fallout was the so-called character coach, Jack Easterby, also left. I think there was talk about him going to Houston. So a lot of the players really liked him a lot. But maybe he just didn't want to stick around after the Kraft episode. It'll be interesting to see what sort of punishment Kraft gets from the NFL. Now I think
6 games.
What did Jim Irsay get with the drugs?
He got $500,000 and he got 6 games.
All right, so
he
maybe
can't get more than him.
No, I don't think he'd get more.
So probably $500,000. That's the max you can fine him. And
do you think that they will let him have the first day of the first game?
I don't think they can do that. Maybe the Pats will wait until he's back.
Oh, that's a possibility too.
But I don't think they can do that. Yeah, you can be at the first game, but then you're suspended. Who knows with the NFL? But some people are saying it's going to be worse.
I saw somebody write today in Boston Sports Journal. They said the Patriots always get rid of the guy a year too soon. So he said, here's the deal. Trade Brady to Arizona for Rosen and Arizona's first pick. And then they could have the Patriots' first pick. Now, Arizona, of course, I think has the one of the top.
You think Arizona's that stupid?
They might be.
I mean, they're rebuilding and they trade. They're getting the first pick.
Right. They're going to. Well, the question is whether they're going to draft a quarterback
well,
or not.
The Pats are in it. They're going to draft the kid from Oklahoma, right?
That's what everybody's saying. I don't see it, but.
And they're going to trade him. And I heard the Pats are going after him. Rosen.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
So that's what the Pats are one of the teams that want to make the deal. Are they going to give a second or third round pick? You know, people saying they may be able to get him for one of their third round picks. You know, I would definitely do that.
Oh, for a third round pick, sure. Because the guy's got really reasonably low salary for 3 years. And, you know, I know that they were pretty high on him before the draft last year.
I think that'd be a great deal for the Pats. And then they have to get a great tight end.
Speaking about football in general, the Alliance of American Football, the AAF, abruptly ceased operations today. So I don't know what happens if guys are going to get their paychecks. There was some lame excuse like the payroll company couldn't handle paying the players. It was just crazy.
The first game I saw, there were a lot of people there, a lot of fans watching the game.
Well, I mean, it looked pretty much like high-level college football. I mean, there were some.
That's too bad for the players.
Well, and I think Spurrier was getting $500,000 to coach his team. So, I mean, they had some reasonably well-known coaches.
Too
but
bad.
I think Rick Neuheisel was coaching one of the teams too. So, you know, it's all about the money, right? Former Mets pitcher Ron Darling came out with a new book, and he claimed that in 1986, when the Red Sox were in the World Series, that Lenny Dykstra was cursing out Oil Can Boyd using all kinds of racial epithets. They asked Boyd about it, and he said, I don't remember, or something. He was kind of a out there guy. Boyd may be most famous for his line when they were in Cleveland, and the ballpark got real foggy because it's next to the Great Lakes, and he said, well, that's what happened when you build a park next to the ocean. So, crazy guy. Now, when people don't know, when an oil can in baseball parlance is a beer can. So when a player or Jerry Remy says, oh yeah, we got oiled after the game, that means we were out drinking. So Oil Can Boyd mean Beer Can Boyd.
He was a good guy.
Yeah.
Dykstra was an idiot.
Yeah, Dykstra had a lot of problems.
Bad person.
You know, bad person. Another former Patriot, Malcolm Mitchell, who was noteworthy for his second half heroics in Super Bowl 51. I think he had 5 catches in the second half. I mean, crunch time catches too. He just never could recover from his knee operation.
Yeah, that's a shame.
You know, he
was a good guy. He wrote those children's books.
Right. So he'll probably land on his feet. He was a smart guy and seemed like a really personable guy. So he'll be on the book writing and chicken dinner circuit probably. Good luck to him. Now, the Patriots still have a lot of work to do before the season. Their receiving core is pretty much nothing right now.
Well, they have those 12 picks, plus they could trade, you know, maybe for someone like Green. Maybe they can get lucky there. Who knows? But, you know, they have the 12 picks, so you know they're going to bring in a couple of ends. They signed a couple of slot receivers.
Right.
You know, one of them they think could be pretty good. He was from Washington. I forget his name.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
But
Harrison maybe.
They like him. And with those 12 picks, they got to get a tight end, number one. At least one tight end.
Yeah,
a stud tight end.
Iowa has 2 really terrific tight ends, Hawkinson and Fant. And the Patriots have a connection with Ferentz, the coach there. Now, they'd have to move up to the middle of the first round probably to get Hawkinson, which I don't know if that's possible or not.
Maybe give up their first and a second.
Maybe.
You know, they need a really good stud tight end, and then get an end. You know, and he might trade for, you know, maybe someone like Green. You know, that this room is around that they may be going after him.
Yeah, the team that everybody talking about, which is crazy right now, is Cleveland Browns. They have Odell Beckham Jr. Baker Mayfield showed up pretty well considering he was a rookie last year. Seems to have the poise to play the position anyway. And I think they're among the top 6 or 7 teams favored to be able to make it to the Super Bowl. I mean,
Here's my thing. My advice for any bettor, anybody who bets the over/under on Cleveland, bet the under, because they're not going to win. They're not going to win 9 games. I think the over for them is 8.5 or whatever. They're going to be under it. They're going to have a losing record. I'm telling you now.
Well, they have pretty inexperienced coach. I don't remember the guy's name, but and why did the Patriots win the Super Bowl in large part? Probably because McKay got out-coached by Belichick and Flores and McDaniels. Although, you have guys like Felger who are constantly beating on the offense. Well, they're really great. They got 13 points, but they did what they had to do.
No, plus they moved the ball. They had over 400-something yards.
Right, they couldn't finish it off.
They were in the 4 times in a row in the first half. They just couldn't make the big play. But, I mean, it just happens. But defense came through. They scored when they had to. Gronk came up big. Brady came up big. They won the Super Bowl. The year before, Brady threw for 505 yards, and they lost it.
Do you think that Belichick might be rethinking the Gostkowski decision since it's going to cost him $4.5 million a year, and he'd rather put that money towards something else and get a new kicker?
I think I would let him go. They may try to sign him for that, what he got paid last year, 4 point something.
Right.
But he's not worth that money as a kicker. There's got to be, coming out of college, there has to be some real good kickers. With your 5th round pick, take one of the kickers, or your 4th round pick.
Yeah. Apparently there's really only one really good kicker. I want to say some kid from LSU. But anyway, just change gears for a second. The Bruins kind of coasting down the stretch here toward the playoffs. They're going to have a tough road to hoe here. What I don't understand is, I think I understand, that they're shifting around Coyle and Johansson, trying to make them get better numbers. What happened is in 17 games, Coyle has 5 points. In 7 games, Johansson has 1 point. And Ryan Donato has, in 19 games, 16 points in Minnesota. So it looks like the Bruins totally blew it. They got 2 guys that aren't doing anything.
Well, you knew Donato was a sniper. I said that a couple of shows ago. He's a sniper. He's going to do really good there. He's going to be on the power play at times, not for the Bruins. And, they made the deal. But I think Coyle's stronger than him. He's playing pretty good hockey.
No, he's an aggressive player. I get that. And he'll go into the corners, and, it's the big, bad Bruins hockey. It's just, I don't think that style, you see him play Tampa Bay, and this guy Kucherov looks like Bobby Orr out there. Kucherov has way over 100 points.
The thing I don't like is they're going to have to play Tampa if they win the first round.
Against Toronto.
In the second round.
Yeah.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
the 2 best records in their league.
Yeah, so it's hard to be excited about the Bruins' chances.
Well, one thing for sure is they play a lot harder than the Celtics do.
Well, I won't argue with that.
And I'm a basketball fan, and what a difference. You watch the Bruins play, they're out there working extremely hard. You watch the Celtics play, they're loafing half the time. They don't switch when they're supposed to. They could probably play without a coach because they're not listening to him.
Well, I will agree. The Bruins fans are terrifically loyal.
Celtic fans too.
I know, but half the people in the Bruins games have those Bruins shirts on. I wish I had the Bruins shirt concession, those sweaters. But, we'll see. I don't know if anybody has a lot of faith in Rask. Remember how Rask had that brief absence in the middle of the season? Nobody really found out what happened. A lot of rumors going around. Who knows? And we'll have the spring sports to talk about in the near future. Boys lacrosse, I think Danny Ventura, the Herald, had Melrose in the top 20. They weren't in the Globe top 20. And I think the girls lacrosse team started off with a win their first game. So
yeah, they're going to be there's talent there. But the team is the Yukon girls, right? Remember, that's the big game of the weekend, not the boys.
Well, the Yukon women are playing the lack of respect card, so I hope they win what is it? Would it be their 12th or 13th?
It'd be their 12th, this is their 12th consecutive Final Four appearance.
Wow. I've enjoyed seeing you tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.